Last night, there's some videos in here, 2 or 3 or 4. When they first started playing, there was no volume. Yeah, they could get something, I don't know. So, probably. So, I can send them to the videos. Okay. Well, I try not to be late. The only thing I want to be late to is my own funeral. Is that all right? I like to be tardy on that one about 20 years. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 2, time to be born and a time to die. Can you change your time to be born? Galatians 4:4, in the fullness of time, God sent forth His Son. Christ was born on time. Can you change your time to die? You sure can. Ecclesiastes 7:17, why will you by much foolishness and wickedness die before your time? Chronic disease, #1 killer, dying before your time. Ooh, okay. Now before I get underway, I'm going to just, and by way of introduction, make a few remarks. Once I start, I'm not going to use the Bible very much, but I'm going to use it right now. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 3. It says, the devil, he was subtle, and he stole from Eve the simplicity that was in Christ. It ought to be a simple message. Would you agree? It ought to be simple. Shouldn't it? Okay. I'll pray. We'll ask the Lord for some simplicity. Dear Father in heaven, we call them simple, natural remedies. I pray you'd apply one to my heart, and tonight, since my heart is going to speak through my mouth, out of the abundance of heart the mouth speaketh, give me some simplicity and kindness and love. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. So, I think what you need to do, and I need to do, is when you read something like that, we say, give me some evidence. Would you agree? Because every false idea, every wind is blowing. Would you agree? I hear more crazy ideas than I've ever heard before. Just today, I heard somebody say, don't eat wheat, don't eat rye, don't eat oats, don't eat, what was the other? Barley. Barley, wheat, rye, and oats. I thought, well, I had oatmeal for breakfast. And that takes away a lot of what I eat. Don't eat whole grain. Okay. My dear friends, I'm serious when it comes to my health and yours. I don't want to say anything that's not true. Anything I say, I want some scientific evidence, don't you? Study tonight is diabetes from a lot of different angles. So it is a lifestyle disease, #1. #2, it's chronic, more than 90 days. #3, it's progressive. It only gets worse. Is it easy to halt and reverse it? I'm sorry. Is it simple Yes. Is it easy? No way. For human beings to make a change, that's a minor miracle. Wouldn't you agree? To change something. So symptoms. By God's grace, I'm going to try to be very methodical and orderly. The symptoms. Well, my sores don't seem to heal very quickly. My energy levels are like this. Sometimes I'm energetic, sound like a roller coaster as far as energy. That's an interesting one there, that. UTIs, people, the second, more prone to urinary tract infections. People say, wait a minute, what's that got to do with diabetes? So I thought I better put this in here. UTI risk due to high levels of sugar in the urine, which promotes bacterial growth. It's a very rich environment for the growth of bacteria. This is why it not only depresses the immune system, these urinary tract infections become more common. Pretty simple, right? Impaired immune response that hinders the body's ability to fight infection. This is why folks have more infections and heal less quickly, because the body's immune system is compromised. Is that simple? Okay. If I say something it's not, somebody just wave their hand. Prevalence. Sum it up in one little picture. It is a pandemic worse than ever. The projection is it's going to be getting much worse in the near future. This is America, this is not Canada. 38 million folks with prediabetes. I'm sorry, 38 million with diabetes, 98 million with prediabetes. Most don't know they have it. Is it a problem? Yeah, it's a problem. And the World Health Organization projected, I think it said like 35 million people have it now. 10 years from now, it'll be 335 million. I don't know, but it's growing. So my energy levels are, the ants are chasing my urine and all these things. So I go to the doctor. And this is what they do. First test is the stick of the finger. Now I'm going to show numbers. They're American numbers, but the principle is the same, okay? You use millimoles per liter. We use milligrams per deciliter. It's like centigrade and Fahrenheit, but the principle is the same. And I don't understand millimoles, so I'm going to have to use the American if that's okay. But you go to the doctor. He gets a little machine called a glucometer, sticks a needle in your finger, takes a drop of blood, puts it on the glucometer, and it flashes up the concentration of blood in your sugar in your blood, glucose. There it is. If it's more than 125, you're diabetic. If it's between 100 and 125, you're pre-diabetic. If it's under 100, you're okay. Now, it's not a super accurate test, so if it indicates there's a problem, they go to the next test, which is the hemoglobin A1C. A blood test that provides information about 90 days. They can understand the condition of this diabetes for the last 90 days. When I heard that, I wondered, how? How can you do that? Well, the red blood cell only lives about 90 days, 3 or 4 months. And what it is, and I'm not going to read this, I'm just going to say it, you can read it if you want to. Hemoglobin is a protein. It is coated with sugar. And as the weeks and the months pass by, they can measure the coating on the hemoglobin and understand the condition of your blood for the last 90 days or so. So A1C measures the glucose coating. That's what it's called. Glycosylation, they call it, the big word. And then the hemoglobin, in America, basically doctors want to see it under 7. Under 7.
And to cut to the chase, the test that we look at to see how people do with diabetes, it's called A1C, or hemoglobin A1C. It's just a measure of your blood sugar control, and if you have diabetes, I'd like to see it below about 7. At the beginning, our participants were not below 7. They were on average right around 8. And the red line on this graph is the control group, the people on the conventional diet. They did well. Their A1C dropped about 0.4 absolute percentage points. That's good. That's what a medication might do. But that blue line, Those are the people on the vegan diet. Look what happened. They had a drop of about 1.2 absolute percentage points. That is huge. If you had a medication that did that, invest. That is a great medication. But this is called asparagus, beans. It's simply the effect of a healthy vegan diet.
Now this man, here I'll put up his name, Neil Barnard. Go to YouTube, Neil Barnard, diabetes. That is the foremost expert, and he is giving our message verbatim what to do to reverse diabetes. Except he doesn't have trust in God. That's a big one. But Neil Barnard, diabetes, he has dozens and dozens of scientific studies, nice pictures. He's an interesting speaker talking about how to reverse diabetes. It's excellent. And lots of books out too. So a woman will call, and this has happened. She said, I went to the doctor, they gave me metformin, they tell me the condition is can't be treated, I manage my symptoms with medications. Is there another option? Traditional treatments. I'm not going to go into many, I just take one. Good evening, howdy. I'll just take one. The most popular drug as far as being prescribed is metformin. Not a whole lot of side effects, and this is what they do. Can metformin bring your blood sugar down a little bit? Yes. Really? How? Metformin's affordable, Medicare pays for it, doesn't have a whole lot of side effects. I took this off Medline Plus. Before I read it, the liver produces, stores, and releases glucose. When you eat your food, you have glucose going into your bloodstream, but you need glucose a lot more than just when you eat your meals. So the liver makes it, stores it, and releases it at just the right time. Okay? What does metformin do? It decreases hyperglycemia, hypo too low, hyper too high. Hyperglycemia primarily by, how does metformin work? Suppressing glucose production of the liver. Of course, long term, it plays havoc with your liver and may destroy it long term. But that's how metformin works. You say, there's nothing wrong with my liver. No, but this is how we're bringing your blood sugar down. Give you metformin. Does it address the cause? No. The cause is not the liver. Prognosis. This is you're looking ahead, what you think may happen in the future. I think the first one is, I won't name it, but it's a very popular, it's a scientific organization. There's no cure for diabetes. So treatment aims to keep your blood glucose levels as normal as possible and to control your symptoms to prevent health problems developing later in life. I will name this one though, Diabetes Canada. I took this off this website this afternoon, and this is what it said. If you want to get depressed, read this if you have diabetes. Recent studies show, this is right off Diabetes Canada. Recent studies show that remission of type 2 diabetes, next word, may. That means it may not. May be possible in a subset. That means certain people. Certain people may. May be possible in a subset of individuals using a variety of interventions, including bariatric surgery, also known as stomach stapling, where they go in and they cut part of your stomach out, staple it together, and that begins a long series of potential problems. And this is one of their answers: low-calorie diets with or without large increases in physical activity. Of note, remission is not synonymous with cure. Rather, the term remission is chosen to reflect the often temporary resolution. So people in a small subset may get some temporary relief if you staple your stomach and you get on I thought, these are the experts in Canada. The often temporary resolution of hyperglycemia and subsequent possible relapse with progression of type 2 diabetes. Okay, 3 types. Now, what are the 3 types of diabetes? Before we look at the 3, you have a pancreas. It's part of the endocrine system. It makes a hormone called insulin. You got different kind of cells in your pancreas. The beta cells make insulin. There's no question. This is just hard science, right? You trust me. This is nothing crazy. Your beta cells make insulin. Insulin is a hormone. The little receptor sites on the muscle cells, when that hormone drifts by, it locks onto it, and that insulin has an important job. Now, what is insulin? A hormone made in the pancreas that helps move sugar out of the bloodstream into the cell. Do you need it in the cell? Yes. You need energy. It makes energy from the glucose. Cells use the sugar as fuel to make energy in your little oven called a mitochondria. It combines glucose with oxygen. It cooks it down, makes adenosine triphosphate, ATP. That's the currency of the body. Cells use the sugar as fuel to make energy. Without sufficient insulin, sugar remains in your bloodstream, raising your blood sugar. And then this is they call it for short a metabolic mess. Increased blood viscosity impairs circulation, damages blood vessels, and increases the risk of blood clots, strokes, and heart attacks. It's not good to have high blood sugar, right? Pretty simple. So number 1, type 1 diabetes, which means your pancreas is not making insulin, which means you'll probably be on an insulin pump. Even a good lifestyle, you might be able to control it a little better, but you're going to have to take some kind of insulin. Most people with type 1 get insulin pump. What causes it? They say, the doctors say, autoimmune, don't know what causes it. But that's type 1. Luckily, the majority of people that are diabetic are not type 1. Pancreas doesn't work. Second type, gestational. The woman is pregnant, she has diabetes, the pregnancy passes, she no longer is diabetic. Is there a problem with that? This is one. Autism. Just heard something about autism. Autism, I'll give you my experience with autistic people. I'm sitting there at the table. My wife's serving granola. Got a friend there that's autistic going through the program. He comes to the table, puts his head over the granola, and he does this, starts eating it. Then after a few minutes, he looked up, and this is what he said, "Handsome is as handsome does." That's what he said. Yeah, so maybe it's just that you can tell somebody's autistic. After a time, you're at lunch, you say, well, that guy's got a little problem. Interaction, social intercourse, it's just, they have a problem. Characterized in varying degrees by difficulties in social interaction, communication, repetitive behavior. They can think, really, I met very intelligent people, nice people, they just have a little problem called what? Autism. Well, back in the States, I'll blow up the chart for you. You look at 1970, 1 in 10,000 children were autistic. And in 2000, 2004, notice the rate is increasing. It's getting to be a very small pandemic, autism. In 2010, that's the last year I could find, 1 in 68. Big difference between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 68. This is the latest research. 42% more likely to have an autistic child if you had gestational diabetes. That's one reason not to have it. There are a whole lot of problems with gestational diabetes. I did this talk one time. This lady said, I have an autistic son. I had gestational diabetes in the pregnancy. So you want to be, you don't want gestational diabetes. Third type. I forgot. I put this in there too. The child, I'm not going to read this. I'll just say it, but you can read it. The child shares the mother's blood supply, right? So when the mom, her blood sugar goes up, the baby's blood sugar goes up. Now the baby has a pancreas. When that blood sugar goes up, the baby begins to make insulin, which moves the blood sugar out of the baby's bloodstream into the baby's cells. When a child is in the fetal position, not doing any movement, not burning any calories, what does the cell do with all that glucose, that energy that's being put into the cells? It stores it. Yeah, it stores it. And so when that baby is born, the glucose in the mother's bloodstream, blood will pass through her placenta to her baby. Extra glucose, Extra glucose raises the baby's blood sugar levels. This triggers the baby's pancreas to produce more insulin to signal cells to take in more glucose. Additional glucose means more energy, which is what you said, stored as fat. And when the baby is born too small or too large, it's facing some health challenges either way. You want ideal birth weight. So another reason not to have gestational diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. They call it insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance? Well, there's a cell. I'm going to add some things to the picture if that's okay. So you have a cell, and on the cell you have receptor. How does it draw them? It doesn't draw them. It has receptor sites. The insulin locks into those receptor sites, and it unlocks the cell, and the glucose enters. In insulin resistance, it's like a key. The key goes into the receptor site, it turns, and the glucose goes into the cell. But the key doesn't seem to work. It turns, but the glucose stays in the bloodstream. What's the problem? Well, the problem is the cell is resisting the insulin's effort, and that is called insulin-resistant diabetes type 2. Right? I'm going to start on the left top and go around. People that have kidney disease, kidney failure, renal disease, number one cause, diabetes. If you have diabetes, you're almost certain sooner or later to die of a coronary event, heart attack or a stroke. Number three, diabetes is a leading cause of traumatic amputations. Non-traumatic. Traumatic is when you have a motorcycle accident and you lose your leg. That's traumatic. Non-traumatic is they cut your foot off as part of the deterioration of your physical body because of the diabetes. And then the last one, people that are working age, means under 65, leading cause of blindness is diabetes. There's a sore on the foot that just does not seem to heal. This is a non-traumatic amputation. I had a friend that had the toes cut off and their foot cut off and just going up the leg because there's a problem with circulation. By the way, that lady is on the medications. She's taking the medications. Yeah, sorry. The answers, I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's kind of like discouraging. So the simple answers. Now, don't read the green, okay? Don't read it yet. Don't read the green. Type 2 diabetes composes 90% of people with diabetes around the world. What are common consequences of diabetes? And then it lists those same things: kidney disease, neuropathy, tingling in your feet, heart disease, all the rest. So if you look on the right, there's a long list. Now, without reading the green, that red symbol represents what? In health lingo, the red apple is a symbol of what? Diet. Yeah, broader, but yeah, diet. And the orange represents exercise, and the blue represents what? Weight. That's it. Now I read the green. A healthy diet that helps control blood sugar, achieve and maintain healthy body weight, add 30 minutes of daily regular physical exercise. You got to be kidding. Is it that simple? This is Barnard's book. I bought it. It cost a whole lot of money. If you take Barnard's book and you take out the case studies, you take out the recipes, you take out the research, and you just narrow it down to the program to reverse diabetes, guess what it says? Same thing. Same thing. Good diet, exercise, good body weight. Pretty simple.
Type 2 diabetes can be prevented, arrested, and even reversed with a plant-based diet. Something we've known since back in the 1930s. Within 5 years, about a quarter of the diabetics were able to get off insulin altogether. But plant-based diets are relatively low-calorie diets. Maybe their diabetes just got better because they lost so much weight. To tease that out, what you need to do is a study where he switched people to a healthy diet, but forced them to eat so much food that they don't lose any weight. Then we could see if plant-based diets have specific benefits beyond just all the easy weight loss. Well, we'd have to wait 44 years, but here it is. Subjects were weighed every day. If they started losing weight, they were made to eat more food. In fact, so much more food that some of the participants had problems eating it all. They were like, oh, not another salad. Ugh. But they eventually adapted, so no significant weight change despite restricting meat, eggs, dairy, and junk. So with zero weight loss, did a plant-based diet still help? Overall, insulin requirements were cut about 60%, and half the diabetics were able to get off their insulin altogether, despite no change in weight. How many years did that take? No, 16 days. 16 days later. So we're talking diabetics who've had diabetes as long as 20 years, injecting 20 units of insulin a day, and then as few as 13 days later, they're off all their insulin altogether, thanks to less than 2 weeks on a plant-based diet, even with zero weight loss. Diabetes for 20 years and then off all insulin in less than 2 weeks. Diabetes for 20 years because no one had told her about a plant-based diet.
Yeah. And at the end, I want to show you a lady that came to our program. Her name is Darnell, and she had been diabetic for, 25 years, diagnosed as type 1. Let me tell you about Darnell. She came 300 pounds. She allows me to share testimony. She weighed about 300 pounds, 150 kilos. She had depression, she had hypertension, she had anxiety, she had diabetes. Her blood sugars were sky high, 350, 400, life-threatening. And she came and gave her the plan. Basically, she thought it was too simple, nothing like that could work. She said, I'm type 1 diabetic, which means autoimmune, diagnosed diabetes at 12 years old. Now, the reason they say juvenile diabetes, most people that get it when they're young, is type 1. Well, that's not true anymore. Children are getting type 2 diabetes now. But she said, I can't improve because I don't make insulin. How do you know? My doctor told me. How did he know? Well, I don't know. So get on the good plan. If you're type 2, your blood sugar will go down very quickly. She got on the plan. After 2 or 3 days, her blood sugar began to drop dramatically, and she couldn't believe it. I said, I guess you're not type 1. My mother called me. I was working at Wildwood Hospital. My mom called me. She thought I was crazy at the time because we changed our lifestyle, and it didn't agree with her. But she was sick, needed a hip replacement, had some congestive heart failure, had diabetes. I've got it all in my family tree. And she said, I'm sick. I got problems. What should I do? And I told her what? I was at Wildwood Hospital. What did I tell her? Come to Wildwood. And she came. But she forgot her glucometer. So she was in our house eating our meals. My sister sent the glucometer FedEx or something. It took 3 days to get there. My mom took it, poked her finger, put it in the glucometer, put the strip in, and it flashed up 97. She said, the thing's broken. It's 97. She looked at me, my mom, how can that be? Because you changed your diet. And she got some exercise, and she began to make changes, and she saw fast results. My mother walked out of there. She told me when she left that place, she said, for the first time in my life, I can balance my checkbook. She got clarity of thinking as well. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. And to go to Diabetes Canada and read all that stuff, I think, what in the world are these people thinking? They have been overeducated. They are overthinking it. God's plan is so simple. Not so easy, but so simple. And Gregor and Barnard and hundreds of other people have put the plan into effect and seen tens of thousands of people halt and reverse lifestyle diabetes. So the type 2 basics, there's the pancreas. That's what it looks like. It's probably the largest part of the endocrine system. You got things that make hormones. You got the pituitary gland in the brain. You got the testes that makes the testosterone. You've got the ovaries that make the progesterone and the estrogen. You got the adrenal glands that make the hormone adrenaline. You got all kind of things. The pancreas is making insulin. So this is how it should work. The beta cells in the pancreas, they produce the insulin. When you eat your meals, well, you have insulin. There's a signal to the pancreas. It makes insulin. It's going to the cells to do what? Move the blood, the sugar out of the blood into the cells. You know, I'm stumbling a lot tonight. I'm mumbling a lot, but I thank God the success does not depend on me or my smoothness of delivery, right? It depends on the truth. Can you recognize it as true? So cause and effect as we look at the problem. Muscles use most of the energy in your body. Right now, I'm moving a little bit. If I'm out running, my muscle cells need energy. So I'll use muscle cells. Responsible for removing 85% of the sugar from the blood. Toxic buildup, and there it is. That's it. The cause of type 2 diabetes. Toxic buildup of fat in muscles disrupts the process, setting the stage for pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes. What are you saying? Well, the research shows if you're diabetic, you're more likely to be, if you're obese, you're more likely to be diabetic. Now, there are the two body shapes. Which one is preferred? The one on the left, because that's subcutaneous fat. The fat is under the skin. You carry it on your hips. The other fat, the apple, you carry it around your internal organs. You need some because it cushions, it insulates, but if you have too much, that fat can make its way into the organs and into the muscles. Diabesity, that's healthy, and as you get more, as you gain more weight, the chances of being diabetic increase. So now that we've got a new word, diabesity, because it's so associated with being diabetic. Can a skinny person be diabetic? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So now, help it to be simple. Adipose cells, also called fat. Adipose means fat. Triglycerides are blood fats. Fat cells store triglycerides. Fat cells store fats. That's a connective tissue around it, the adipocytes and the connective tissue, and those are the fat cells. That's a real picture of a real person. Now, the thing about these adipocytes, they are finite in number. And in fact, before I read it, as they fill up with fat, they enlarge, but it gets to a point where they can't hold any more, and you can't make any more. What you have is all you'll ever have. What do? Can't hold any more. What do? It spills over into the bloodstream. And the problem is, where does it go? To the cells. We'll use muscle cells. And the fat begins to collect in the muscle cells. And like chewing gum in a lock, it begins to block these receptor sites, and they can't open the cell to let the glucose into the cell. Now that might be confusing. I'm going to say it a little slower. It's called lipotoxicity, fat toxic. Condition resulting from the accumulation of lipid intermediates, an accumulation of fat in places where it should not be. That's it. And what's the result? Cellular dysfunction. Yeah, you break down.
Massive weight loss or fat cells.
Yeah, and let me just tell you, this is a little study, but showing what I was just saying, but in more of using scientific evidence.
Massive weight loss or fat cells shrink as they offload fat, but the number stays the same. Conversely, when we gain weight, our fat cells just stretch as we pack more and more fat into each individual fat cell. So when our belly button thighs gets big, we're not adding more fat cells, we're just cramming more fat into each cell. And at a certain point, our fat cells become so bloated that they spill fat back into the bloodstream. This is an illustration of the so-called spillover effect. Not only does an obese person have more fat on their bodies, but they're constantly spilling that fat into their bloodstream. So that could be the link between obesity and diabetes. Fat is spilling out from our fat cells and gets lodged in our muscle cells, leading to the insulin resistance that promotes the onset of type 2 diabetes. Or the fat can enter our bloodstream through our mouth. If you put people on a low-carb diet, fat builds up in their muscles within 2 hours compared to a low-fat diet, and insulin sensitivity drops. And the more fat in the muscle, the lower the ability to clear sugar from the blood. It doesn't take years for this to happen, just hours after fatty foods go into our mouths, our body has problems using insulin. A fat-rich diet can increase fat in the blood, and this increase is accompanied by a decrease in insulin sensitivity. Studies clearly demonstrate that the fat in the blood directly inhibits blood sugar transport and usage in our muscles, which is responsible for clearing about 85% of the sugar out of our blood. These findings also indicate an important role of nutrition, particularly increased consumption of fat, for the development of insulin resistance. Normally, we only have about 10 to 50 micromoles of free fat floating around in our bloodstream at any one time. But those who are obese are constantly spilling fat out into their bloodstream. But we can reach those same levels in our blood eating a high-fat diet. So a skinny person eating a low-carb diet can have the same level of fat in their blood as obese people do. Similarly, being obese is like eating some horrible bacon and butter diet all day, because obese persons are constantly spilling fat into their bloodstream no matter what goes in their mouth.
That's Michael Greger, his website, nutritionfacts.org. He gives scientific information for everything he shares in the comments box below. You can download the studies, you can read them. He sells nothing, he advertises nothing, and I found it to be full of good fact-based science. So do you see the problem? All right? If you're on a, what kind of diet would lead to fat accumulating in the muscle cells? Yeah, high-fat diet. Therefore, if you want to reverse the condition, what kind of diet would you go on? Low-fat diet. Yeah. I was going to say plant-based. You said, I was going to say low-fat. You said plant-based. Same thing. Right? We studied that last night. So I'm going to kind of give some human characteristics to the muscle cell to illustrate a point. So you eat your meal, because we're going to the next step. You eat your meal. The blood sugar, you have glucose going into the blood, broken down in the stomach, absorbed by the intestine, going into the blood. And then the pancreas is making insulin going to the body's muscle cells. It tries to open the cell, but it will not allow the gates to open for the glucose. Now I'm going to pretend that I am the insulin, knocking at the door. Knocking at the door of the cell. The muscle cell says, who is it? Who is it? I say, I'm insulin. I got a delivery for you, my friend glucose, who you need in order to make energy. Without this guy, you're in trouble. Please open the door. And the muscle cell says, go to hell, right? Get out of here before I pull my shotgun out. And the insulin says, what's the problem? Here's the problem. The cell says, look, my fat stores are already maxed out. I am overfed. And after you eat, you're going to take a nap. And I'm underworked. Overfed and underworked. And I don't need any more. Therefore, what should you do to re-educate the muscle cell? Yeah, go to Barbados. Yeah, Bajan. I'm going to Jamaica with you. No, the mangoes. Low fat. Okay. You give me some mangoes, free? Jackfruit? Kalu? Roti? Dumpling? Whole grain roti? No. Trinidad. Where are you from? Trinidad. Yeah, I knew it. She says I got to go to Croatia, right? He says Portugal. Okay, look, had a group, 26 people from Barbados. They came up, wouldn't even fit, and the group said, well, we'll sleep on the floor. They had 26. The first lecture, diabetes, and there's 26 Bajan, right? They're looking at me. And so we go along. I found out 2 of the young people were physicians in there. And when I finished, I said, any comments, whatever? And the lady, the physician, she looked very young. She stood up. She said, I'd like to say something. I said, go ahead. She turned to her group and she said, I want you to know I agree with what he said, but it won't work because nobody will do it. Wait now. And if you don't do it, you need to come see me and I'll give you metformin, insulin, et cetera, et cetera. And she sat down and I said, may I say something now? She said, yes. I stood up and I said, I agree with her. You got to do one or the other. If your blood sugar, I'm talking American, 350, you're on death's doorstep. You got to do something to bring it down. Either change your lifestyle or the pills. You've got to do something. Hypertension, 220, I'm using again American, 220 over 120, you got to do something. You got to either take pills or you got to, yeah, don't you? Yeah, she was right. Yeah, you're right, no problem. Now, if you don't know about this, all the scholarly articles, all the good research is archived here, pubmed.gov. I want to show you what I did. Because now we're talking about being overfed and underworked. We're going to work those muscle cells. We're going to do it using what? And gardening is excellent exercise too. I'm just going to use exercise. I went to PubMed, right? There it is. It's easy to remember, pubmed.gov. When you get there, this is what you see. In the search box, I blew it up. I typed in diabetes and exercise, insulin-resistant exercise or something. No difference. 25,000 articles came up. Boom, just like that. 25,000 research papers. I mean, this is British Medical Journal. This is AMA, Clemson, University of California. 25,000. And they all said the same thing. Is that some kind of scientific evidence? Is that something that you might be able to trust? I'll read you one from Canada, right? The effect, what does that say? What's that say about that? No, next to the red thing. What's that say? Okay, that's the source. The effect of 8 weeks aerobic exercise on insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, the gold standard. Randomized controlled trial, placebo, it's the gold standard. What do they say? Blood glucose and exercise. Did I blow it up again? No. And they talk about, it's like a miracle cure. Exercise has a tendency to force the glucose into the cell. Wow. So that tells me I need to exercise. Oh, low-fat diet, you said. I agree. But you need to get some exercise. Now, there are two kinds, aerobic and anaerobic. You need aerobic exercise. You're elevating the heart 60% of max, and you keep it there for 20 to 30 minutes every day. Now, there's more than that. More than that. Aerobic exercise burns fat, improves mood, strengthens the heart and lungs, and reduces your risk of diabetes. Everybody agrees with what I'm about to say. And you would too. You don't have to be a scientist. You have your food, right? And of course, after you eat, the glucose goes into the bloodstream. 45 minutes from the time you took that first bite, the spike in the blood sugar is at its max. 45 minutes from the first bite, give or take a few minutes. What should you be doing after you eat? Are you eating, right? Finish lunch? What should I be doing? Taking a walk. Yeah. And the muscle cell will tell you to get lost, right? Don't bring that insulin around here. You're right. I realize the culture, especially in some Hispanic countries, that's siesta time. I know. And I'm a human being like you. You work hard, you eat a big lunch, you can't do it. You have to, after every meal, and I do. Look, my mother had diabetes, she died of congestive heart failure and died, all these things. My A1C, my pre-diabetes, I'm close. I'm not diabetic at all, but I'm close. After every meal, come hell or high water, I gotta walk or I'm gonna get some kind of condition that's gonna put me out of service. I know it. You do too. I know. Yeah, you do. And they say you're a lawyer, you're wearing a suit, you can't walk, you're just making excuses. Take your tie off, get on the stairs of that building, go up and down. You need 10 to 15 minutes, that's all. You don't want to do a marathon. 10 to 15 minutes. of exercise after every single meal. You mean in addition to the 30 minutes of aerobic exercise? Yes. Yeah. If you want to reverse it, put a halt and reverse it. Strict whole food plant-based diet. When I say strict, now this is for people with lifestyle issues. This is chronic diseases. I'm talking to those people. That means low-fat diet. That means no oil. No oil. Even careful with the nuts and the seeds. They're high fat. That means no processed foods. Why? That's the next part. That's the next part. Because processed foods have had the fiber taken out. You've got to have fiber, high fiber diet, and soluble fiber. And I just regulates blood glucose, and we'll see how in a second. Found in most fruits, vegetables, legumes, oats, brown rice, barley, and more. Again, I heard today, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this. Where are you going to get fiber? This is the chief source of fiber, whole grains. Well, everything is fiber in the plant-based kingdom, but the whole grains are a really good source. And this is something everybody agrees on. European, Canadian, US, everybody agrees on this. All the websites, all of them recommend the consumption of, what's a pulse anyway? Lentils, chickpeas, snow peas, black-eyed peas, black beans, my favorite, black-eyed peas. Yes, any kind. Yeah, pulses, lentils. What does it do? Well, dear friends, this is what it does. The inhibition of the enzyme amylase by eating beans approximates that of a leading diabetes drug, a popular diabetic medication. The long-term use of beans may normalize hemoglobin A1C levels almost as well as a drug without drug side effects. Here comes Darnell. What's for breakfast? What's for breakfast? Beans? That's not all. I mean, it's not all. We had mangoes. We had avocados. We got stuff. Salad bar for lunch. Beans. Every meal? Yeah. Every meal. Well, there are things you can do to address that. Number one, and we're not going to have time because it's just time. We got 3 hours left. The microbiome, the gut bacteria. You get healthy gut bacteria and it produces less gas. You can soak your beans before you eat them. There are a lot of things you can do. But better to have gas than to have no life. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. What you said is more polite than what I was going to say. So in the animal products, I know we're beating the drum again. There's no fiber whatsoever in anything in the plant kingdom, whether it's fish, chicken, eggs, milk, dairy. How much fiber? Zero, zippo. And everything in the plant kingdom is a good fiber source. Everything. Processed foods, no fiber. Prevalence of what's dementia got to do with it? Oh, dear friends, if you haven't heard this is the latest cutting edge right here. Mm-hmm. No. Who's they? Give me a randomized control trial, because yeah, and I'm going to give you some. I'm going to give you some type 3. Well, this is the most cutting edge, latest research that I know of. Is dementia becoming a problem? Way back when, 10 to late, I'm okay. Way back when, they had dementia. Another name for dementia, they called it what? Alzheimer's. And then they noticed that was 70s and 80s. Man, wake up, look at his wife. Who are you? Right? Something was going on up here. Then they had to add a new word on, early onset, because now it was happening in the 50s. And pretty soon now dementia is no longer confined to 50s and 60s. People in their 30s are getting dementia. Yeah, we had a patient. Came in on Monday, and he said, "It's fuzzy in my mind, something like this. My name is Johnny. Nice to meet you, Johnny." Came in on Tuesday. He said, "My name is Sam." Nice to meet you, Sam. Came in the next day. Now, in a mental health circle, they call this identity crisis. Came in the next day. How you doing, man? What's your name? He said, I don't know what my name is. Can you get into shape? You don't even know your name? The president of La Sierra College out there, his wife got dementia. He said, married 40 years, she doesn't even recognize me anymore. Is that alarming? Now, let me ask you a question. Oh, let me read this first. United States dementia case estimated to double by 2060. And it's already going up on a steep incline, and it's going to get a whole lot worse, a whole lot faster. And you ask what causes dementia? Well, a new wrinkle in the fabric, above normal blood sugar linked to dementia. This is the New England Journal of Medicine. I read straight out of the study. Published in the New England Journal of Medicine shows that even people without diabetes, but above normal, that's prediabetes. Prediabetes is associated with an increased risk of developing dementia. It establishes for the first time convincingly that there is a link between dementia and elevated blood sugars in the non-diabetic range. Says study author, it came out of Harvard. And if you read the study, they think it may be related to these plaques, plaque buildup, the chief constituents of plaque, saturated fat and cholesterol, plaque buildup in the cerebral arteries. A Harvard Medical School professor and the director of the Diabetes Center at Massachusetts General Hospital. Now, when I met my wife, she was a Buddhist. I thought as we near the end, I'm going to quote the Buddha, if that's okay. I like what he said. I don't like this other stuff he said, but I like this. To keep the body in good health is a duty. Okay? Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear. Now, this is a picture. That was my teacher right there. That man was like my father. His name was Willamette D. Frazee. He started Wildwood Hospital in 1942. Loved him like a father. That man, as opposed to this man, got a call from the hospital. That man was 90 years old when he died. I helped bury him. Got a call from our hospital. Said, Lou, and I was in administration then. I was not working with patients. They said, we need your help. Come over. I came over. I said, yeah, well, what you need? You need surgery? What do you need? And they said, go in there. I went into the room, and there's a man in the bed, and he called me over. I said, yes, sir. How you doing? He said, what's your name? I said, Lou Keith. I said, come here a second. Okay. And as I got over there, he boom, tried to hit me. Yeah, he swung right at me. Now, I was pretty fast back then. I was 36. I dodged him. And he went back like this. He looked at me. Who are you? Lou Keith. Hey, come here a second. Sure thing. Yes, sir, what can I do for you? Boom, tried to hit me again. Did it the third time. Now, you be honest. You be honest. If you had to choose between having a disintegrated body or a disintegrated mind, if you had to choose mind or body, which would you choose? Now, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Well, of course. Of course. But if this, now that man, 90 years old, he was sharp as a razor. That was my teacher. Sharp as a razor at 90 years old. The man in that bed was older, not quite that old. He was strong as a bull. And this man, he could not, part of what my work with him is to walk him. All he could move was his right elbow, his right arm from the elbow down. And how would we talk? W-I-L-D-W-O-O-D. Sign language. That's all he could do. That's all he could do. But his mind, like a razor. I couldn't believe it. Now, here's the fact. If you have a strong body and you got no mind, what have you got? But if you have a strong mind and the body's all shot, do you still have something? He did. He gave me something. I was just right out of the world. Lord sent me to him to help get me straightened out. Now I want to read this again. Grains, fruits, nuts, vegetables, and constitute the diet chosen for us by our Creator. I've read that a lot of times, but it's the last part. These foods prepared in as simple and natural manner as possible. This was written in 1905, right? 1905. They impart a strength, a power of endurance, and a what? Vigor of intellect. It can help you to have a sharp mind, to being on a good diet. I don't want dementia. I want to wake up in the morning. I've been married 45 years. I want to wake up in the morning and say, Darlene, I know you. You're the woman I married, right? And I want her to do the same. What am I eating for breakfast and lunch? Quite often, any guesses? Beans. Yes. Beans. Don't you like beans? For lunch today I had, guess what? Beans. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Brown rice? Yeah. Vigor of intellect. You mean my diet can sharpen me up? That's Daniel 1:8 and 1:9. Purpose in his heart, not thoughts of the king's meat. Yeah. So there she is. The lady I've been telling you about, Darnell. It's very short. I want to play it. I want you to watch.
So at 13 years old, here I am sitting in the
13
doctor's
years
office
old.
with my mom, and the doctor's just pouring all these things. Yeah, she's diabetic. Her blood sugar is 400.
Wow.
She's gonna have to be on medicine for the rest of her life, and we have to set up the dietitian, set up something with the endocrinologist, set up something with the, I forgot what they call her, but the lady who, I think that she was like a diabetes counselor.
Yeah.
Showing me how to use my needles, and I remember my mom being like, upset, because not angry but upset, but just like sad. My mom didn't like needles. She doesn't like needles, and so she couldn't watch me take my own medicine.
Yeah.
It was very hard for her. And the lady told her, you need to watch so that you can do this for her, if she ever has an issue one day. And she's like, I can't. And so I quickly realized that even though diabetes ran in my family, my grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great aunts, that this was something that I was actually going to face alone. I didn't have very much support, which I didn't really care for, because then people kind of left me alone, except for when I was eating. But for the most part, I was in denial. But and I think that's where probably my depression started. Yeah. Wow. I just realized that. That's probably where my depression started.
Is that when you were living in Orlando? Yeah. I was just curious that now that you're a teacher, that's what you've been doing.
Yes.
And I know you're probably not teaching health classes,
No.
but it seems like this simple health message we have would fit into any kind of English,
Yes.
whatever kind of class you teach.
Absolutely. We have a lot of kids now even struggling. They want to lose weight, and they want to,
Sure.
They're trying to work out, but they're still eating the wrong things, or they think that by starving themselves, that's what's going to help them lose the weight. The environment here is, I would say, very conducive to healing.
Yeah.
Very much conducive, and the information I've learned is almost priceless for me, because it has opened up my eyes to a whole new world, a whole new way of thinking. I recognize now what I've been doing wrong. My perspective was all out of whack. And now that I, by God's grace, I have I feel like I'm starting over a new journey.
Yeah.
And to God be the glory, because I never believed that diabetes was reversible until now.
Right.
All the things that I wanted to happen for me, control over appetite, bringing my sugars down, losing weight, has happened effortlessly. I simply...
Well, it got cut off. You missed the end. Sorry, I don't know why it cut off. So, 30 years holding your stomach and sticking a needle in it twice a day. 30 years. She came there and she said, look, what are you going to feed me? sweet potatoes, some carrots, some salad bar, and this, that, and the other. You want me to get up and walk 30 minutes and walk 10 minutes after the meals? You want me to go to bed at 9 o'clock? You want me to get some sunshine? You want to... So what do you got to lose? She walked out 9 days later. Everything's just fine. 9 days. Well, you know, Gregor's talking about in 16 days, somebody's been diabetic 20 years. It's common because she got on the plan. Dear friends, it's a great advantage to have a science-based health message that really works, isn't it? Pretty simple. I've never seen it fail. In fact, I was saying, I've never seen it fail. We're living in a day and an age where every kind of crazy thing on planet Earth is being voiced from the mountaintops. Dear friends, we ought to be speaking louder and longer than they are, right? This is the plan that works. There's no other plan that works. The plan that worked on, now you tell me, one size fits all, true or false? Okay? I like this guy a lot. I love this guy. So I got a phone call. Lady said, do you have a plan there for reversing osteoporosis? I said, yes, ma'am. What's the plan? Going to put them on a diet is high in calcium-rich foods. Going to get them some load-bearing exercise, aerobic, anaerobic. Going to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Get them out in the sun. Going to. Okay. So do you have a plan for hypertension? Yes, ma'am. Going to put it. It took her about 5 lifestyle diseases to figure it out. And she said, it's the same thing for everything. I said, well, I'm sorry. You see it, right? It is. There may be a slight adjustment on a couple of plans, right? Slight adjustment. Same plan. It's the same plan. No matter where you go, the plan works. First step in the plan, and I counseled some people yesterday and Barry, 40, 50 people. Always, we talked together too, I don't know. Always the first thing you do, there's their problem, you say, and then I'll end with this. I'll interview you. You don't have to answer. It could be rhetorical. You don't want to answer, that's fine. First thing you say is, and you can kind of cushion it down. You can change the language. I'm going to be more direct. Are you breaking any health laws? And in almost every case, they don't know what the health laws are. How can you keep that which you do not know? What are the health laws? Okay. Water. Water. How much water do you drink every day? Okay. Who'll be my volunteer? How much water do you drink? Huh? No. How much do you? It's easy to know what you should do. All right, we use him. No, we can use him then. 3-4 glasses. He's got to have at least 8 to 10. 8 to 10. That's 2 liters, right? A little more than 2 liters. You're drinking 3 to 4, you're sunk before you even start. It's over. No way. Nobody smokes and they drink coffee, tea, chocolate, Coke. You don't do those kind of things. But if you're drinking, let me just say something. You go into a church, 300-400 people, and anybody in here smoke? Now, I'm talking about the church that I'm in. Anybody smoke? No. No. Come on, in the church. No, they don't. Anybody in this place drink tea, coffee, Cokes? Anybody? Come on, raise your hand. And so 40 hands go up. My dear friends, the caffeine in the tea and the chocolate and the Coke is a twin sister of the alkaloid in the nicotine in the cigarette. Same family, same thing. They constrict your blood vessels, they raise your blood pressure, but coffee or green tea instead of the Marlboro does the same thing to you. You got to come on off that and onto the what? The water. Water. 8-10 glasses of water a day. Can I have some juice? No. Herbal tea's fine. Herbal tea's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Because green tea, black tea, loaded with caffeine. But herbal teas, no problem at all. Ginger tea, no problem. But before you say it, but you take those herbal, like you said, ginger tea. Ginger has food value. You need to drink that at the mealtime, because in this plan, no snacking. This is to reverse diabetes. Darnell, no snacking between meals, none. So ginger, food value, drink it with the meal or just before the meal. You say, well, the liquid might dilute my digestive juices. Well, it might, but if you're going to drink tea, drink it at the meal. Yes, my brother. No. All right, my brother gave me some help. Because, no, the reason, I don't know the science, but it's common sense. If, like right now, I drink this, there is no, would you agree, there's no food value in there? So when you drink it, it diffuses into the system immediately. If there's any food value, it stops in the stomach and has to be digested. So coconut water, is there food value in coconut water? Yes. So it doesn't count. Water's okay, anytime, best not with meals. But these, let me add something else. I'm gonna be done at 8:15. Let me add something else. Matthew, sorry. Anyway, got to 23, 23 Matthew. You blind guy, just strain a gnat, swallow a camel. There are a lot of gnats out there. I'm not going to fight somebody about food combining, about drinking water too close to a meal. Those are like minors. We got people coming eating 6 steak burgers for lunch. You know, if that's something we're going to talk about. So, but yeah, that's another one of the strict things. No snacks, drink water, don't drink anything else. If you have to, herbal tea, ginger tea, do it at the meals. No juice, because no processed foods. No oil, processed food. No tofu, processed food. I can name 50 things you can't eat it. You can't fry anything. This is if you're trying to reverse, hypertension, you're dying. When you get on that plan, in 10 days, you will see incredible. Darnell couldn't believe it. I mean, I shake her hand, give her a hug. Somehow they got cut off there. You look on the website, loukeith.org. That whole interview is on there. loukeith.org, go down, you see that for the thumbnail. The whole interview is there. She couldn't believe it. She said, I said, yeah, let's go. Boom. And she left, kept the experience. Could you go back if you chose to? Yes. If you do, what will happen? And then that Candida diabetes, the subset may get some help, but the potential for then all that self-fulfilling destruction and death prophecy is fulfilled. Give me a break. I want to keep it. That's why I walk after the meals. Any questions other than that? Yes, sir.
Talk about.
Uh-oh, never mind. We got 7 minutes.
Okay. Try to make it quick. Okay, so my issue is this. I'm not going to behave as if some saint or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
And I'm pre-diabetic.
Okay.
So most times it goes up to like 6.4 and such the like. So for me, I'm always tired. No matter how much sleep I get, I'm on a sleep machine. I'm always tired. If I even get 12 hours sleep, I'm still tired. After meal, I'm tired. So go to work, and what do I do when I'm tired? I have a caffeinated drink. That's what carries me through the day. Yeah. So I want to get off of it so bad. But right now, I've been praying about it. I was off for about a month and went back on. So now it's been a week, and I'm still trying to hold on as much as I possibly can. So I know you're going to say it's diet and all that stuff, but I just say I just need help. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's easy to sit here and yippity-yap about diet and the other, but to actually be in the struggle, which I understand. Talk is cheap and easy, but when you go to make changes, it's not. True. And yes, I know. I'm more human than anybody in here. But I'll give you something that helped me. Now, I'm not going to preach it to you, I'll preach it myself. But the thing about caffeine, it ensures you'll be more tired because anything that lifts you up will push you down as a reflex action, reflex. So I went to Wildwood Hospital on the staff, right out of the world. I mean, you know, I cut my hair, I took out the jewelry and everything, and I was going, and I was thinking I'm in a convoy of angels. If they find out who I am, they're going to run me out of here. Because you ever feel that way? These guys are talking about worship and going to do this and do that and quote the Bible. I was a crook. I'm sitting here. I was in a missionary institution. I would go down the first 6 months I was there. I go down to the store, go in there, and I buy a Diet Coke, hide it like that, because I like the caffeine in the thing. You know, that's why I was drinking. But I was, you know, I was on low calf, right, Diet Coke and things, and I know. And then some years passed by, and then something happened to me, and I quit the caffeine. It was a struggle, but I don't know. This was 15, 20 years ago. We went to Taco Bell. When you ever know what Taco Bell is? Okay, yeah. Taco Bell, you could get a burrito. You know what it is too, don't you? A burrito without cheese. So if we were on the road, I'd get a burrito without cheese. Well, somebody gave our institution a washing machine. I was going to meet them. I said, well, the Taco Bell in Athens, we can meet there. I haven't eaten all day. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm starving. Darlene calls. She said, I got lentils on the stove, beans. I said, well, honey, I'm waiting for this guy. It's 4 o'clock. I haven't eaten all day. I'm probably get something here. She said, fine, okay, bye. So hung up. And I sat there, and I started thinking, all right, you got Taco Bell here. You can answer a question. The burrito, you know, the blanket that wraps around it, is that whole grain or is that white? That's white. Do I know that prostate cancer and breast cancer are a red flag by a low fiber diet? Do I know that? Yes. I'm sitting there in the car and I know that. I'm starting to think that's going to have a white wrapper. Is the, now I knew about sodium too, right? But I'm teaching it. 1,500 milligrams a day is essential for life. The thing has like 2,500 in one little burrito. Do I know that? Yes. And then the beans themselves, there's refried beans in there. And for the first time in my life that I can recall, I had the thought, how can I eat something that I know is going to kill me? And I don't think I got perfect from that time on. I did not. But it was a start. Called Darlene up. What did I tell her? Hold them lentils. Warm those things up. I'll be home in an hour and 40 minutes. And that was progress. So a guy comes to our program. He's eating the cow, you know, twice a day. He's breaking every single law in the book, except he left drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. That is, starts with a P. That's it. And if you're making progress, it is not who is on which rung you're on going to the kingdom of God. You're on rung 2 going to 3, you're a saved man. You're on rung 47 going to 46, you're a lost man, right? We're judged by the direction we travel. So the question is this. If you're having a struggle, whether pornography, whatever it might be, diet, I can name 1,000 things, music, whatever it might be, I'll tell you what my friend, my teacher, 90 years old, told me. I said, look, I said, I'm having a struggle. I'm not going to tell you what it was. I said, I'm having a struggle. And I was talking to him, and he said, see the mountain? And that's all he could do. That's all he could do. See the mountain? Yeah. He said, you're trying to get to the mountaintop, aren't you? I said, yeah, but I'm down in the valley, you know. I need help. He said, are your feet pointed in that direction? Are you trying to make an effort to go in that direction? I said, yes. That's it. That's all you got to do. Thank you. And now, Proverbs 24:16, a just man falls 7 times. Anybody know what's next? And he rises up again. So let's say you're a crack addict. We work with people to crack rocks and stuff. They call me, say, oh man, I fell off the wagon last night. What do I say? Proverbs 24:16, rise up. That interview I showed here, there was the ASI International Convention, that lady, 3,000 people. That lady came. She gave me permission to say it. She came, alcoholic, quit, went home, got drunk, came back with the program, quit, went home, went back, came to the program, quit, went back home, got drunk, came to the program. People started saying, you're wasting your time, 3-time loser, she'll never change. Oh, give me a break. Came back, got an experience, went back home and kept it, and I think the head deaconess in the church a year from then. Yeah, but so defeat does not faze me, because I know that Romans 8:31, if God's for us, who can be against us? So very, very simple. You know, it's the fat build up in the muscle cells. Get on a whole food diet. Teach that muscle cell that I ain't going to feed you, fatten you up, and then go to sleep. I'm going to work you. I'm going to not overfeed you. I'm going to work you like a dog. And after 10 days, sometimes 16, may take 2 weeks. Maybe it's 3 weeks or a month. You stick with the program, you get the sure results because it's God's plan. And if God stands behind it, how can it fail? Last question? If not, we're going to pray.
Yes, sir. One last question. A buddy of mine is type 2 diabetic and he pricked himself.
Yeah.
So when I talked to him, I said, Bobby, what's going on here? And he told me that he ain't got no pancreas. So
He's type 1.
type 1?
He has no pancreas. He's
Yeah,
type
no
1.
pancreas, so it's type 1. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that cannot be reversed, right?
I mean, God may do a miracle, but yeah, no pancreas or non-functional pancreas, type 1, insulin pump, strap it here, it injects
Yeah.
insulin. But being on a good diet, we worked with type 1 diabetics, being on a really strict, you can take out those highs and lows, feel a little bit better, and you can meter out the amount of insulin you need every day and keep it a lot more steady instead of all these ups and downs.
But his doctor said that the way, because he's a skater and everything, and he said that his doctors made the statement that he's not sure if he's diabetic or not because he's so active. But he knows that he's diabetic. So you're just using that term to say you're so active, so you don't seem like the person who has no pancreas
Yeah.
because he's always active.
You have a normal life, you use an insulin pump, normal life. There's a danger, friends, that you start treating your doctor like God, you know. I'd say you get God's plan, and if the doctor is opposed to it, well, I'd say go with God. Doctors fail from time to time. God never does. So people tell me all kind of things all the time that go contrary to whatever in counsels and diets and foods, counsels and health, medical ministry, call to medical evangelism, and the ministry of healing. Contrary to it. You tell me, who should I listen to? You got God Almighty over here, and you got, who should I listen to? I'm 69. And then get my wife, you know, I keep showing these videos of her. She worked me. She outworked me. She can outrun me. She can outthink me, you know. And yeah. So that's why I show those a lot of times. Yeah. I'll pray. Pretty simple plan. Not easy, but simple. All right, dear Father in heaven, we're in a battle down here. And we each are probably fighting against different foes. But if God's for us, who can be against us? Joshua said, are you for us or are you for adversaries? And Jesus said, I come to you as a captain of the Lord's host. Joshua took his shoes off, got down and worshiped. Well, we're worshiping right now. Pray that you'll come fight our battles for us. Give us grace. Help us to stand tall, knowing that the Savior is buttressing us up. And pray we'll get these victories over these besetting challenges that we face. Pray for my brother and his challenges at work. My sister and the things she faces. We all have something. We've got to have some divine help tonight. Please send it. I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Tomorrow night, heart and blood vessel disease. Heart and blood vessel disease.